untechnical stuff, and I'm so glad that I just get to sit here while other people figure that out, Josiah. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for being so patient. And I'm going to ask you a question again. You, so
Yeah.
at least I already know the answer to this one, but you started playing piano very young, and then that
Mhm.
fueled your love of music, I'm going to guess.
Yes, yeah. My grandma was a musician, and I'm very musically inclined, and just kind of just had a huge effect on my life of being, learning piano and then eventually picking up the guitar and writing music. So,
See, people like you, Josiah, and that's one of the reason I got into radio a long time ago was because I couldn't figure out how to play an instrument. All I wanted to do was play instruments. And every time I picked one up, no matter how hard I tried, it sounded like I had just picked it up. So so I had to find another way to be involved with the music that I loved. And that's I'm just so impressed with folks like yourself that just pick it up and it is what you're supposed to do.
mm, yeah, it's been probably about almost 10 years, like I was saying before, and been playing guitar and leading in a church setting, and kind of off and on with writing music. I probably wrote my first one about 10 years ago, but really the last 3 years, I'd probably say I've been writing more consistently. Um, yeah, 3 to 5 years, I'd say I've been writing more.
Now, where do the songs come from? Is it something that maybe when I interviewed Rich Mullins years ago, and his are you
Uh,
familiar with his anthem "Awesome
yeah,
God"? He
yeah.
wrote that. I asked him about that, and he just said he was just he laughed about it when he said, "Yeah, I was just walking down the side of a mountain, and it came to me, and it became this huge anthem, and all the other ones I worked really hard on, yeah." You know? So when a song comes to you, what's is it like a cloud burst, or do you have to take some time and really work through it?
Um, yes. So normally it takes a lot of time to work through it. Sometimes it can be just like get it done in like a 2 hour segment kind of thing. Most of my like co-writes that I've sat down with other people and have wrote have been mostly done in 2 hour segments. And like this song, "Still Small Voice," I wrote that probably took a whole night, but I just sat down. Sam from the Normandies, I was at his house for a concert up in Detroit, and he's like, "Hey, what do you like? What do you think about this passage and just of like Elijah standing on the mountain?" And so I, I just started singing the passage and just going from just like stood on the mountain before the Lord. And so a lot of it is like scripture stories and um or such of like a turning old hymns into like a contemporary sound, like a folky kind of style.
Yeah, that's what one of the things that really attracted me to your style is, and I think you describe it as Appalachian style.
Yes.
I describe it as real, a legitimate sound. Is that something that you're just drawn to, or is that just who God wants you to be?
Um I think it's a little bit of both. I'd say I've fallen in love with like the style of folk music and other artists that have been going that direction with their music. And so I've been listening to like a lot of like Josiah Queen, Luke Bauer, Kristen Zimmer, um, like just as a few examples that are just in that folk style. And then so I'll kind of like go right in between those, that I mean, and that folk, and then the Appalachian puts some like sometimes a little bit of mountain music behind it, you know. So
Oh yeah, it's a great
yeah.
sound, and that's what's missing in today's contemporary Christian music is originality, and you definitely bring that to the table. Now you did mention our my new mutual friend of yours, Sam from the Normandies,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that he and I talked about, and what you've started to do is you do Christian songwriting nights.
Yes.
Now that's since a lot of the people who listen to and watch what we do here are wannabe artists. Can you explain a little bit what those songwriting nights are all about?
Yeah. So it's really all about community and the building community and of fellow believers and just being in fellowship with one another. And um, we've had, I don't even know how many up in Detroit, how many of these songwriter nights. I just played one about a month ago up there, and then the I played one on Friday night, and then I hosted my own in my hometown, my home church, and um, my first one that I've ever hosted, and it was really fun. I just was seeking out different Christian artists that were in the area, um, such as Sam as does as well. For the Detroit area, he'll search for Christian artists and try to get them on the stage and build that community, and just try to have people sharing their original music, and is really a cool, great community that we are building.
That sounds fantastic. It's building a church within a church, and I think that's it's really a
Mm-hmm.
cool thing that you're doing there, and you're helping so many people, even if they don't become they don't rise to the level where you're going. You're still giving them a space to express themselves and to do what's inside them and make it come out, and you're helping them blossom, and that is just very very cool. Now you've mentioned church a lot in your as we've been chatting here. Did you grow up in the church, or is it, or how did you let's just go to the standard question. How did you start your walk with Jesus, Josiah?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. That's yeah, the root of it. Yeah, I was a young age, like probably 8 years old, I'd say, and at like a Christian camp that I gave my life at to Christ, and I've been raised in the church. I've always been um, serving and plugged in the church. My dad's a pastor, and so it's always been like the family effort. Always always there Sundays and like on Wednesdays and at least 2 or 3 times a week, I'd say, in the church. So yeah, I'm actually at the church now. We're like doing this interview, so just yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, everything's is a huge circle as
yep.
we find out as we go on. Now, you said since you grew up in the church, what was that like for you as a teenager? Did you attend like a public school? So I mean, what was it like for you to be at you know as a believer, to be a believer at that point, and then to just have to navigate real life?
Yeah. It was, I'd say, pretty difficult, and with being in public school and just trying to like find that friend group that you fit in. And we did have a Christian group called Impact at school, and so it was kind of like pretty cool. It would like meet on like Friday mornings, and so it'd probably be like anywhere between 10 to 20 people like meeting at like 6 in the morning or something before the school starts. So like that was really cool, like encouraging to be able to have that community at a public school. And yeah, just also knowing like that there were teachers there that also were Christians. So Um,
You were able to live out your live out your faith without with knowing that there was help there if you needed it.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say very much so. Mhm.
That's cool. But then after that, you went on to Moody Bible Institute.
I did. Yes. So I um, graduated high school in 2018. Um, and then
I now feel
I
very, very old, Josiah. Thank you so much for
well,
that.
yeah, that was still a long a while back for me though too. That's high school is kind of like um kind of almost coming up to 10 years. So, but um yeah, and then I took a year in between to go to just like a school just for general like classes and stuff, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. I served that summer as a camp counselor, which if you ever consider doing that, like right outside of high school or as a high schooler, I would definitely recommend it. It's definitely like a really good experience to be able to serve at a Christian camp and just really good community, really faith driven, and really like you learn a lot with just everyday like situations and with expanding your faith as well. So Um, and so after that, like kind of gap year, then I applied to Moody originally for biblical studies, and but then I'm like every degree is biblical studies basically there, and you're taking all the same classes. So then I went to tra- change my degree to worship and media arts, and then I was studying uh, more on the film and photography as well as I like minor in vocal performance. So then I was classically trained in a vocal like performance and choir, and I was part of Moody Chorale as well. And I had the opportunity to tour to many different states, including California and all the way from the Redwoods to San Diego, and then one international tour to Poland as well. And we did
Oh
just a
wow.
huge like circle around Poland, which was amazing. And I love traveling. Like I could talk about traveling all day too. So and then uh, yeah, in vocal performance and just I think the biggest thing that Moody like that I took away from it was the I'd say relationships and the connections that I've got through it. Like and even not just at the school but also the church that I got plugged into there. I'll still every once in a while go and visit the church
Okay.
and they're always like surprised to see me. They're always like yeah, it's amazing to be able to just still have that community, even though I'm back in Cleveland, Ohio now. So and um, but it was pretty cool experience being able to be there on campus and get like plugged into Chicago and um, yeah, if you're ever in Chicago and you want some church recommendations and you don't know where to go, I know a few that might very well suit you. So
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll put together a list, and then people
yeah,
can bother you for that. Hey,
yeah.
I didn't know about the Poland thing. I'm sure you've got a lot of great stories, but can you pull maybe one or two out of that to let us really know what that was like for you as a young man
Mhm.
in Poland? It's a little different than Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, the whole kind of I spent a week and a half in Poland on tour with Moody Corral, and so I'm a bass baritone originally as what I was like classically trained. Um, Now I can basically sing the very low bass and the like high tenor folk style that I do now. Um, so I kind of like try to find sometimes in between. Um, and so spent about a week and a half in Poland, and we sang at music schools, churches. There was one concert that we did like a flash mob around the city, and then just handed out like, "Hey, come to our concert," and now I'm like trying to learn Polish. uh, so, like the whole week, I was like, "Wow, this is like such a difficult language," but and then trying to speak to people, like inviting them to our concert, and yeah, it was so much fun. Um, yeah, and that was back in 23. Yeah, I believe. So 2023, and so that's when also many refugees from Ukraine were coming over into Poland as well. So it was really good ministry opportunity to be able to minister to not just the Polish community, but also those refugees that were coming over. And um, it was really cool as well because the person that was like able to make it all happen in the choir, uh, like was from Poland and was able to speak Polish and translate. And we had times of like testimonies to share at concerts and all of that sort of thing. So very impactful for the kingdom, and it was yeah, a really good experience. So
And it must have
really,
been, just incredible for you to see. I mean, because in the United States, we got it pretty easy as Christians. As much as people say
mm,
we don't, yeah, we really do. You know, so it must have been exciting and different for you to see. These people have to work a little bit harder to be Christians, and they have to put a little more sacrifice of their self out there
mm,
because it's not as welcoming and open as it is over here.
yeah, yeah. And there was one concert that we did that I can't remember the name of the city, um, and but I want to say it's Lichiznik, maybe. Like it starts with an L, I think. But and it was this huge cathedral, and it was televised on like national Polish television, and I didn't even expect any of all of that. Kind of just like, oh, it's just another concert, and but it was one of our like largest ones, I'd say, of that tour. And then we just also kept like those church doors open, and like the ceilings were like 100, 200 feet ceiling. Like it's just massive, like building, and just the echo and the reverb of the room was just amazing. Like the of a whole choir, um, and yeah, I didn't expect how many like people would you know join that and
Yeah.
come to see in that city. Um, yeah, so it was really cool. So
At what point did you decide this is what you want to do? You want to be, because it can't be an easy decision. I
yeah,
mean, to put you, I mean, it's easier nowadays technically. I mean,
mm,
you can just do it with a computer like we do this here, but you're putting yourself out there, Josiah. I mean, you're
right.
not. This is. We all know that people are keyboard warriors. They can say whatever they want when they look at your work and your effort.
Yeah,
So when did you decide you wanted to do this, and what really drove that decision?
yeah. I'd say probably. Well, I knew I had the calling to do it probably when I was through like in high school and sometime in that point, and though I kind of just like put it off until I like I'm like, okay, you know what, I'll go to Moody for music and see what happens, you know. And I think that just strengthens the calling more. And and then I'd say I probably didn't really I didn't start putting myself out there until roughly 2 or 3 years ago. And I think I started like my social media probably about 2 years ago, I'd say, maybe three. I think it was about 3 years ago that I met Sam, and he pushed me for like a year to start posting online and know all that sort of things, which is difficult, very difficult, um, to be consistent with it for sure. And but that was about for a year that he's like, hey, put yourself out there, and then eventually he's like, okay, you know, you're my go-to guy for um, doing these shows up in Detroit, and so eventually just put myself out there, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna get you in the studio, and I'm like, okay, we'll try, and so I used his guy up in Detroit for Beautiful Child and the acoustic version of Still Small Voice, and um, yeah, I'm like, okay, we'll see where it goes, and so it's been about a year that Beautiful Child's been, well, not quite a year. I released Beautiful Child back in June, and then I just released the acoustic version of Still Small Voice back in October. So, and Still Small Voice is almost about to hit 5,000 streams, which I kind of just like, okay,
That's
that's
awesome.
cool. Like, that's, I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. I'm just like, yeah, but for like acoustic, kind of just very raw, stripped down, like meant to sound like an open mic kind of thing. So, um, yeah, but overall, I'd say put myself out there and just kind of rely on God and what He wills for the music. So,
And I'm really glad you did. And as we like to say here, I'm glad you answered the call because your music is, and I liked when you just said that, a raw live acoustic sound. And
mm,
that's one thing that I really like about your music and about Sam's and a lot of the other artists we've talked to is when you go to see them, it sounds just like it did when you
mm,
listen to them at home. You know, you're not, there's no overproduction. You're not going crazy with anything. So it's good, it's real, it's raw, and it somehow got you to Argentina.
yes,
How did
I
that
was about to bring it
happen?
up. Like I said, I love to travel, so I um yeah, it's been amazing. I had the opportunity to travel to Argentina twice this year, and um, so a little backstory on how I met this guy. There's an artist named Tyler Philip Radcliffe, and he uses this guy. His name's Lucas in Argentina that he found online somewhere, and he's like, "Hey, like you should really give my guy a shot, you know." And he Tyler works everything online with Lucas over in Argentina, so everything's online. And I'm like, man, I don't want to like. I sent him a scratch track, Lucas a scratch track of Still Small Voice, even before I had the acoustic version out, and then he sent me a full produced track back, and then I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. And I'm like, what if I just travel to Argentina and work in in person for it, you know, and I'm just like, hey, what are some dates that work for you? And I'm like, I'm pretty flexible with the job and everything. I work for an airline, so it's pretty nice
Oh, that
benefit,
helps.
and
You
yeah, so um, a little secret, but yeah, and it's just being able to um, do that and uh, travel and on the benefits and everything of that sort. Um, but I am working on a lot of projects in Argentina and like currently um, doing a lot of like back and forth with Lucas and like telling him like, oh yeah, that works, this works, kind of thing. Like, could you change this and that? And um, but when I was there in person, I had got a lot done. The first time I went, we had worked on probably about 5 songs, I'd say,
Mhm.
and then the second time I went, we finished up around like 4 or 5 of them, and then we started another 3. So
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, it's been pretty cool to be able to just get a lot done in person in studio. Um, so it's been really nice being able
So,
to.
so what you're telling me is there's more Josiah Dake on the way, and we can get very
There
excited
is
about
very much,
that.
yeah, some like a little bit bigger projects and bigger
Oh,
sound.
fantastic!
Um, yeah, I'm planning on maybe doing a few more acoustic stuff here and there.
Oh,
I'm
you can't give up your roots, Josiah. You gotta hang on to the roots.
Yeah, so we'll see. And we're working on a Christmas song right now, trying to get it out before Christmas. We'll see. Um, I talked to Sam. He's like, "Yeah, if you get it done, just submit it and send it, and just get it out there." I'm like, "Okay," because ideally for like artists, it's ideal for them to like have it in their um, distributor for roughly like 5 or 6 months before it actually drops, maybe
Okay.
4 to 6 months. So then you can actually email radio stations, all that sort of things, and let it kind of just like get it on playlist and everything, advertise it. But yeah, so I'm praying that the song gets done. Lucas had said that it should be finished pretty soon, so we'll see.
Well, that's fantastic. Definitely looking forward to that. Now, Josiah, which verse or verses do you kind of like hang on to? Is there anything specific that rattles around in your brain or in your heart all the time?
Yeah, I um would say got a Bible
No,
here, so
take it.
it's just small, so I gotta read the fine print. Here we go. Romans 12, 1 and 2. And I had just got interviewed from another podcast called Rock the Flock. And
Okay.
this is also just the scripture that I had pulled up that when he asked me. So, but I think it definitely speaks some truth as to um, like living out your life as Christ would. And yeah, so I'll just read Romans 12, 1 and 2. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect.
Oh, it's, that's
So
that's Those are good words to hang on to there, Josiah.
Yeah.
That's an excellent choice. Hey, before we jump into Still Small Voice, we have a little thing we do here on the show. I have two sons. My oldest son, Tyler, is a legitimate hero. He's a fireman, college
Okay.
degree.
Yeah.
He's out there doing it the good work. And my youngest son, Matthew, is profoundly autistic. And for some reason, 9 seconds means something to him. So we have a little thing we call here. We call it Matthew's 9-ish seconds of wisdom, and
Oh,
we just we just ask you to kind of, before we jump into your song here, if you have just a little bit of wisdom to send out there to the people who are listening today.
hmm. So one phrase that kind of sums up, I'd say, trusts in the Lord and um, know that He is good, and even though you can't see in your situation, that He's still working it out for His good.
Thank you, Josiah. That is actually something we live by when we
Yeah.
are working with our little. I call him little. He's 6'1", 205 pounds now, but our little Matthew.
Mm.
Now, tell us a story of Still Small Voice before we jump into it.
Yeah. So it comes from 1 Kings 19, and um, basically just a paraphrase of it is just that Elijah's standing on the mountain, and um, he hears, well, um, the God basically spares him, and he's like, okay, all these people around me have perished. Like, why am I only left, Lord? Like, and he goes and tries to hide from God, and um, and it says that like, I'm gonna just pull it up. I'm gonna try to have it. It might take a second. All right. Um, and basically he tries to hide from God and says like, why spare me? And then like then he hears the still small voice of, the whisper of God. And so I think, just as of like, going through life's trials, trying to like be either, you're hiding from God, or that you're, trying to hide, or that you're like trying to hear God's voice, but you're surrounding yourself with things that are all like too loud to be able to hear His voice as well. And I think just being able to like just breathe in, breathe out, and know that He is with you, and that you can hear His voice in your, struggles and all the things that surround you. Um, it says that the mountains, like I stood on the mountain before the Lord, and like, but the um, Lord was not in the mountain, or like the wind, or of that sort. So
Well, it's a beautiful song, and Josiah, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's been a great pleasure meeting you, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more of your work, especially that Christmas song. So when that comes out, let us know, and we can get it
sure.
out there, and we'll blow it up for you. And Josiah, like I said, it's been a great pleasure meeting you. I love when the artists live up to the little bit of a pedestal that I put them on, because I was really looking forward to your music is so raw, it's so real, and so are you. So thank you for the call, and we're gonna roll out of here with Josiah Dake's "Still Small Voice."
Hey, my name is Josiah Dake, and this is my song, Still Small Voice. I stood on